We're back.
All right, everybody. Okay.
Yeah. We got snacks and we're back.
We got snacks and we're back. It got really hot out here, okay? I don't have anywhere to record, so you get to go explore all of Las Cruces with me in the meantime. And it's hot where I live, so here we are. Cheers to hibiscus tea.
Cheers. And that's acai bowls. Yeah.
All right, friends. So what are we gonna talk about this time?
I don't know. I'm curious to see where you take this now.
You're more than welcome to ask questions too.
Yeah. In between, we were kind of opening up about everything, coming up with like themes for all of this.
Yeah.
Unscripted, uncensored.
Understood.
Interviewed,
unscented. So I don't really know. Like, what else do you want to talk about in terms of rock climbing? I know. After we left, I asked a question about like what kind of dark times have you gone through where this might have, helped you out.
Yeah. A lot. What kind of dark times have I gone through with rock climbing? A lot. I mean, well, at this point, like, rock climbing has been a part of my life for like 10 years. So, a lot of high highs and a lot of low lows are like in this experience. And that's kind of one of those things where I feel sure that it's a lifelong thing for me, because it's always been something that I find some kind of meaning or connection through, like in the highs and the lows. And I don't know, I guess the lows, they're lows for different reasons too. Like, there's some lows that are like, I realize physically that like I'm not where I thought I would be, or like maybe something happens, like I witness a fall, and now there's an emergency situation, or my expectations of where I thought I would be professionally aren't met, and I feel like, is this even like worth the time and energy that I'm putting into it? And I think those are the same kind of lows maybe that people feel almost no matter what their career is, or like what kind of they're doing with their lives. Those lows of like questioning yourself, like kind of measuring up and comparing yourself to others, and wondering if it's worth it or not. But I mean, I think the important thing there, just as it is with other arenas, is to remember to just keep going and to either find the light or to either be the light. And I guess that's kind of the big picture idea that I like to talk about, that we can kind of dive into, is that like in the really dark times in my life, like in the outdoors or like in my head, it's like no matter how dark it gets, I mean, I have to remember that I just need to keep on going, because at the end of the night, like, the sun is going to come up, like the light is going to come if you just persevere, be patient, and allow like the experiences to kind of pass through you instead of like holding on to things. Because I mean, when the sun comes up, it's a lot easier to find the trail. And I mean, when you finally find that light inside yourself to like, okay, I can do this thing. Let me open up my computer and start, whatever the task is, or once you finally start that momentum and get the inertia built up, it's usually not as like bad or scary or hard as like I thought it was in my head to begin with. And
there's this actual quote, I think it's Rumi, and it's like, as you walk, the road appears. And it's kind of like, I don't know, I mean, here I am in the middle of the desert eating some acai bowl, trying to start a podcast, and it's like, I have no idea, but as you start to find the steps, you figure it out. And I think there's something beautiful in that. And I think I also relate to that in terms of like rock climbing, and maybe not your journey, but I just have to show up every day. Like, it doesn't matter if it was a hard day, but we gotta keep going.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. No, I just like something kind of clicked where you're like, as you walk, the road appears. Is that what you said? Yeah. And then, oh man. So something I've been thinking about a lot lately is like walking by faith, and what that means.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's the classic religious connotations around all of that, which is, I think, a perfectly fine channel. If that's your channel, like, ride it. I think that's kind of my message across the board, is just find what works for you, and
what works for you,
and work it. And like, for me, walking by faith has been a little bit more of like how you just described it, like take the steps and it appears, like just trust that if you take your foot up and reach out, like, trust that something is going to be there. And I think that's kind of what it means to walk by faith, and that's kind of what has brought me all like into a place here now where I can like channel all my experience with climbing outdoors, all my experience with like the internal and external struggles, and like sharing that with this community. That like that has been my dream like since I really got into this. Like, that was what I was so fired up about when I came home, and like, you know, when we were off getting these, there was a moment where I was telling Val that my mom actually knew before I did that I was going to end up dedicating myself to rock climbing, because I came home from my first like couple of weeks of a rock climbing class, and I was so hyped, and I get all like fired up the way that I do, and she says, well, I'm glad you finally found something that you can make a career out of.
I'm gonna take a quick break and like make sure that the mic is on. Okay, yeah, the mic is on. Oh my gosh. This is how you know I'm starting a podcast and I'm barely starting. I had to go make sure that the mic was on because we don't have a different camera. No, but that is really cool. I'm gonna tear up as like you talk about that, because I think we've gone through similar journeys, except that you're on your own journey. And like, well, obviously, like, no shit, Val. But like I was telling Nick how all of our friends, they really are who they say they are. Like they pursue their actual dreams and passions. And for me, you know, I'm pursuing podcasting and martial arts and psychology. Like that's my gig. It's like that's my trinity. But like I want to get to know people. I want to do martial arts. Martial artists, please invite me. I will go train with you. And then I want to connect. I want to talk to people. So that's, I want to understand. I want to train, and I want to do psychology. But for Luis, he's a musician, and Midhat is an entrepreneur / comedian, and you're rock climbing and you're in the industry. You're not like rock climbing for fun, which is, there's something wrong with that. Like I love that. But you're actually like involving and pulling people in and mentoring them, and so you're like in the industry and you're doing something like that's bigger for yourself. And so that's kind of my purpose behind this podcast, and what I want the world to see is like my friends and people who are actually doing it. They are who they say they are. And like that's so beautiful, and I'm just so proud of you. I just want to cry. I'm not gonna cry. I'll cry. No.
Well, thank you for the acknowledgement, because like also we were talking about earlier. For me, now I've been getting into the point where I'm feeling a little bit imposter syndrome-y, and like I got big shoes to fill, because yeah, like you were saying, I'm finally in a place now where I'm in the industry. Well, I've been in the industry for like 5 years.
Yeah.
But like to backtrack a little bit, because when my mom said that this was going to be my career, my first reaction was like, that's not what my major is. Like that's not a major anyways. Like how are you going to make money doing this? So as I continued through life, my focus was physical therapy, but I just kept spending all my time in the climbing gym. Yeah. And one of my climbing mentors, and like mentorship is something that I've always valued, and like either sought out like for myself or sought out
as I feel
like
hair in my face. Is there hair in my face? No. I'm sorry, guys. We have to stop this. No? Okay, go for it. It's just, I'm sorry. I feel something, you guys.
Maybe it's a spider web.
No. Okay, so you were saying your mom saw you in this industry. But you're like, how? Like, there is no major in this.
Yeah,
like, how am I going to do this?
I'm spending all my time doing this. And mentorship. Yeah. So I always have sought out.
Skip forward a couple years, you do physical training. You're in the, not mental health, but like the healthcare industry. And then what happens? How did you get in a gym? You inspired me to go back and train. I'm going to talk on that a little bit. But how did you get into the gym? Like, what happened where you were like, I'm going to go apply at this gym?
I just, honestly, at first I wanted to save on the membership so that I could train more and just climb more for like saving money. But as it's always been the thing where it just pulls me in. Like, the pull just gets stronger. Like, there's always more to learn, and like more certificates and developments that I can go after. So once I realized that it's this black hole of like something that I love, I don't know, it was just like other things just weren't fulfilling me the same way, and like my relationship got really hard and strained, and like that was part of it, and once that relationship ended, then I was suddenly faced with the option to do anything that I wanted to do, and I always wanted to see what I can do if I just give climbing 100%. So I decided to move back up to Dallas from Houston, where I was living at the time, because Dallas and Houston both are excellent cities for indoor climbing. And Dallas, I was thriving in the indoor gym there. But before that, like one of my climbing mentors, at another gym told me that it took him 5 years before he started making over 30K.
Okay.
working in the industry,
Jesus.
which is a common guideline. I mean, when you get in and you're working front end like desk stuff, it's you know, it's high school kids' first jobs. It's kind of summer camps. It's kind of
we're gonna touch on that here in a little bit too.
Yeah, it's not necessarily something that's easy to make a career out of unless you get into like route setting or management. And so one of my senseis told me it took him 5 years, and it's funny because I'm actually like kind of right on track with his own progression.
Okay. So I'm on the plan.
I kind of am. So like now here I am, like 5-6 years later in my journey, and finally like I am the manager on the management team at Sessions in El Paso. And doing like the best thing possible. And it was kind of a similar thing. I ended up back over here on a whirlwind, and I didn't plan on going from Dallas back to Las Cruces.
But he's here, and I have him right now.
But I'm here now, and you know, I just one of my things has always been to try to turn stumbling blocks into stepping stones.
Yeah, how beautiful is that?
Yeah, that's a Bruce Lee quote there.
Oh,
yeah. He's also like one of my idols.
Yeah, me too. No, absolutely.
For a lot of reasons. But, yeah, once I got back here, I initially wanted to apply to the El Paso gym as a coach. Again, to kind of just like save on the membership and get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
But I was really lucky that the manager there is also very proactive about mentorship.
Yeah.
And you know, he saw my resume and he sees the hype, and you know, I'm with the team, and you know, once you're in the industry for a while, there's just, you gain a certain level of comfort and familiarity with, you know, everything involved.
Okay.
And then people who are new to the environment see that. And I think that's kind of part of what makes natural leaders, is the level of comfort and familiarity they have with what arena we're in. And so all these things just added up, and he asked me to go for the management position, and so I stepped up and I went for it and I got it. And now what I do is I am responsible for the youth programs, the fitness programs, the outdoor programs, and events at this gym. So I'm doing all the things that I love to do. Like, I love taking people outdoors. I love showing people how to climb. I love working with kids. Like, I love throwing parties and just creating good experiences and having people just find courage inside of themselves and having people just connect. And like, I'm shaking hands with people. I'm finally in a position now where I'm able to do some meaningful like help and giving back to the community. Like, one of the things that I do is I can give now certificates for like punch passes or membership or access to the gyms to people who need it. So that includes like the Holocaust Museum. They're having an auction recently. I gave them some punch passes for that. That includes like the like Boys and Girls Club of Canutillo, like the Children's House, like a bunch of these places that I've always wanted to help.
And now you can.
And now I can. And it's just, it's great.
So actually, in watching you go through your journey, you inspired me a lot, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the podcast, is because to me, like, I'm very much inspired by my friend group. But I remember being miserable in grad school. I wanted to quit my job. Like, I just was in a really, really bad, dark place. And I just remember thinking, like, holy shit, like, Nick is going for it. Like, he's not just like, I love rock climbing. He's actually trying to make a living out of it. And if you guys didn't know, my background is in martial arts, and I was a martial arts instructor, and I quit, and I went through all, like, I don't want to say all the motions, but I went to college, I went to grad school, I got a job in my field, and I just was miserable. And like, the only thing that kept calling me back was martial arts. It's like, that's where you need to be at right now. Maybe not forever, but it's like, that's where you need to be at right now. Like, you need to go give back, you need to go train, you need to get back into your roots. And I remember Nick being in his industry and like seeing him like flourish and glow, because like, I think you have changed a lot in the last 2 years, from like your self-expression, whether like maybe your nails are done or like your gauges, or like you are just so much different than you were in, well, I don't want to say in Dallas, but things started to get better as like you progressed on your journey. And I just saw the glow up, and I was just like, holy shit, that's my friend. And so then you inspired me, and I saw that, like, I would go to the gym and I would see like Zumba classes, and I was like, holy shit, people are out here living their daydream, like, and getting paid for it. Or like even going to a yoga class and be like, Jesus, like, you can be a yoga instructor. And I was like, Val, you were a martial arts instructor, like, it's not like you can be, like, you were. And then I just made the call, like, I quit my job, and I was like, I need to get back to this. And as soon as I got back to like myself and who I feel like I am or what I was meant to do, like everything just started getting better. It's like the road up here. It's like, oh, we're following what we love. I love martial arts. I love connecting with people. I want you guys to connect with us and you guys to see our connection and our story. And I was like, I want connection and I want to share this and these beautiful lives that I get to be a part of. And also like your journey, maybe my journey, and like that's kind of what I'm doing. Like you inspired me so much. Oh, I want to cry. Just because I cry a lot. But I just remember being so inspired.
Yeah, well, you definitely inspired me too, and you know, were there for me, encouraging me when I needed it, when I wasn't sure if I was on the right track or not. I mean, you have definitely been as much of a support person for me as, you know, you're talking about all these other people are for you. And, you know, I definitely want to, you know, give you props for that and a shout out and appreciation for just how much you, like, authentically appreciate your friends and hype up the people around you as well. I mean, you get what you get.
Yeah.
You get what you give, you know, and just want to show you some love for that.
Oh my gosh.
It got hard. It gets hard. And I mean, I guess that's kind of another message I want to get across too, is like, I wouldn't even say that like I have made it now. Like I'm still now like growing into this position. And like I said too, I'm feeling like imposter syndrome because I've never really had this much responsibility before. Yeah. But it's a challenge that I'm excited to embrace and get better at. And like I want to be good. Like it's something, let me go down that rabbit hole in a second, but like what I want to say before that is it took a long time, because I mean, I started climbing like almost 10 years ago, and my first rock climbing job was like almost 5 years ago, and throughout all of that it was up and down and up and down, and a few steps forward and a few steps back and a few steps to the left, and okay, now we're going up all of a sudden, all right, let's go. Like just kind of rolling with it. But also, like I said too, also recognizing that there's always like room to grow. Like no matter how deep I get into this, I realize it just gets deeper, and there's more ways that I can grow professionally, more ways that I can help others grow professionally, more ways that I can help bring what I love like to the community, and you know, develop the process to getting others like to experience all of this, and all of that. Like it never really ends. So I think that's another point to recognize as well, is that the goalpost always changes. Like as soon as you think you've made it, like the goalpost, it's somewhere else. Like, and that's kind of the whole point of the game too, right? Is to just keep on
keeping on.
Yeah, just to keep trying to, you know, keep the game going. Because I think something that people forget is that like the game never ends. Like the game,
that's one thing. Yeah.
The game of life.
Yeah,
you know?
Game
like,
of life.
It's just you keep it going, and there's not really winners or losers the way that there are winners or losers in like soccer or football or baseball. Like, we have kind of ways that we can keep score and track. Ultimately, I think it's more like rock climbing. It's more like you versus who you were yesterday. Like, can you climb a little bit higher today than you could last week? Like, can you get up there and remember to breathe? Like, there's always ways that you can improve. Yeah. Even if, you know, the world around you is crumbling, as we've all experienced lately, I think that's also been a great opportunity for us to learn, you know, what we're made of and to grow and challenge. Because I went for it and I got it, and now it's like, okay, like the hard part on it, now that comes to the next thing. It's like the hard part isn't getting it, the hard part is keeping it. Like, no matter what it is for you, like your big thing, like if it's a really big thing that is kind of scary for you, like you should go for it. But remember, like the hardest part isn't going to be getting it. The hardest part is going to be keeping it.
Yeah, I agree, because I think, well, first it's starting, right? Like whatever it is that you're starting. For me, it was like going back and starting martial arts and actually seeing like how much I had like let myself go, in a sense of like losing who I was. Like in the first day that I went back, I just think like muscle memory, like my body remembers, my brain remembers, but I'm not that person anymore. And so I went to do something and I dislocated my knee on day one. and then like I had to like retrain myself to get back to where I was, but then it's like keeping it. So like starting back in martial arts, or like starting like a podcast, like how many episodes are you like before you stop? It's like, yeah, you can start, you can get there, but you gotta keep going. And you never really arrive.
Yeah.
You never really arrive, I feel like.
Yeah. Right.
You're just continuously getting better.
It's all just like a cycle. It's all like a weird kind of loop, you know? And I mean, I think that has a lot to do with like kind of my grand big picture idea view of like the universe, life, and everything in it, is that like the universe, life, and everything in it seems to me to function on patterns. That nature just has preset that are just
like nature's algorithm.
Yeah, like algorithms that are just set, you know, like. And one of my favorite like videos that are floating around out there is like this video of a woman who's lying on the grass, and then it like zooms way out, and you see her disappear, and you see the Earth, and then you see the solar system, and then you just keep zooming out, and you see the whole like big picture universe, and it just looks like a crazy network of strings, and then it zooms all the way back in, and like it starts to get microscopic, and you see all of her cells, and and then all of the atoms, and all of the subatomic particles, and then you get tiny,
I mean, you can get 2 neurons, and then it looks like that, like a cluster of just strings.
Yeah, now we're in like the quantum like world, and it looks, and then it looks again just like a big mess of stringy stuff.
Yeah.
And like the more like experience, knowledge I have gotten from my years in healthcare, from my years outdoors, and just from my years like living as a human being. And
well, tell us about that. You've connected with so many people, different age ranges, kids, old people that I think you lost clients, right? Right? I don't know, maybe I'm making that up, but like when you were working, you were working at the hospital, like you saw some people get sick, and you'd like lose patients.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, you've gotten to see that. I have not, but like, is there any wisdom that they shared that were like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, gosh. So before rock climbing, I was healthcare. When I was 18, I got my EMT license. I did that for a little bit, and then I was a nursing tech. I've been a physical therapy tech, OT, speech. I've done transportation in Dallas. That was my last few years as a healthcare professional. But in Dallas, I was in like a big box hospital in the resource team, working ER, ICU, urology, like the whole shebang.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of time spent in the morgue as well. I've made dozens of trips to and from the morgue. I've done done CPR.
Okay, got down.
You know, that was part of what got me out of it. Ultimately, was that like, yeah, that's a field where you are constantly like giving, and at a certain point, it's like, I don't know, you either move up or you kind of stagnate or you move on. But I decided to move on because I was starting to get real like tired and like kind of hopeless and feeling like, well, we're all gonna die anyway, so why does anything matter? You know, because yeah, I was spending a lot of, like, I've always been a hard worker, so I've always been willing to put in like overtime, and you just kind of go the extra mile. But yeah, in healthcare, that translated to me feeling pretty much like I had my full of it after about 5 or 6 years. Yeah. And wanting to switch because I still have that passion to like help people. That's never gone away. That's always been one of the things in me that like I've felt like I had to answer. And now I'm like channeling that into like rock climbing and getting people to find that feeling in themselves.
Yeah, I love it.
Like
for you.
One of the things I love the most is when I can tell someone like when they finally just do the thing, when they finally like trust the rope, when they finally get to the top, when they finally like hit that certain climb, like when they finally do their thing and they just feel like they're on fire, like oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Like that lights me up, and that I think is like what I'm here to do is like help people find that.
My heart,
they carry that. They carry that on, you know? Like you carry that on. And like that's how we all, I think, make this place just a little bit better. It's like just fucking like try hard and like do good shit and just pass it on.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's what lights me up, is like talking with people who are out there living their daydream, and it's just like, holy shit, like you're doing it. Like it makes me so happy. Like I'm like, oh, like just, I think authenticity is power. Maybe that should be the name of the podcast. We don't have a name yet. Authenticity is power, and just like Jesus, like you are so authentically yourself and helping people. Maybe not, you said like become the best rock climbers, but be that authentic in themselves. And I feel the same way about martial arts, where like at some point it stopped being about being competitive and being athletic and like just learning and loving it, and then teaching people through this and empowering people. My phone is going crazy. Okay, you answer. Go for it. Go for it.
For what?
Rebuttal. I don't know.
Oh, rebuttal?
Guys, I'm still a full-time employee. Please subscribe so that I can stop working. All the notifications are going crazy right now.
Oh, that's what we're experiencing.
Yeah, and I'm like, we're experiencing maybe the firing of Val. Just kidding. No. But I'm getting a lot of notifications for sure. So please subscribe.
Because you're busy.
I am busy, guys. Guys, I have 2 jobs. Then this is a job? Yeah, this is a job. So help your girl out. Help your girl out. Okay. Martial arts. So yeah, I went back to martial arts because that is what I love. Ultimately, I love empowering people. I want them to know that they can trust their body. It's like you can do it. And then ultimately just like empowering and inspiring women and kids and giving them tools to protect themselves, but also learn again, like back to breathing, like modulating their breathing and learning how to calm themselves down or how to respond in a stressful situation, or just how they can protect themselves and others. And ultimately it's just about creating better individuals who are secure in themselves and confident. And so I just knew I had to go back to martial arts, and then I did, and that's my other job. I work at a martial arts studio, and just connecting, like that is ultimately what I love. And that's what I want to share, and I want to keep learning. That's the thing, is that I don't feel like I'm done. I don't feel like, oh, I reached, my 3rd degree and like I'm done. Like I want to keep learning as much as I can and keep connecting and travel and show you guys that. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's part of like the way we move through life. Is like, that's kind of like back to what I was saying earlier with like patterns and like the universe and life and everything. It's like kind of again that same idea.
Oh, we were talking about life being a video game, and how it's a game and you never really stop playing. You were going on a really nice, beautiful tangent. It was great. It was great. Take us on that roller coaster.
Maybe, I don't know, not quite video game so much.
No, you were saying that was not video game. I think for me it's like a video game, but just like a video game of life, of like, oh, which game do I want to play, and like which route do I want to take, and then each route has its own levels and its own adversities, and then you like get tools and then use those tools, and then you level up, and then all of a sudden you're like, ah, I've been here, and you stagnate, so you gotta go play another game. And so then that game comes with its own challenges, and you're ultimately always defeating some sort of boss, whether it's like, facing yourself, or like standing up to people, or like having to go get tools so that you can build something. Like I think life is a huge video game. I think we're in the Matrix for sure. Just kidding.
I mean, that's definitely a very like useful way to look at it. I think this is the way like life is a lot. You can look at it as like having levels